Hi peaches, it's Shaaba, welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. It's Monday and you know what that means. It means it's time for you to grab a nice hot chocolate and settle down because we're about to go fishing for some a-holes. That is right, it is that weekly segment where we take a look at the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Why? Because it's a little bit of fun, it's a little bit of juicy drama. We can also hopefully help a couple people out, either the people posting or people in similar positions watching this. And we can also, bonus, grow our own mindsets along the way. All that I ask, my fuzzy little budded peaches, is that you be kind. Down in the comments section when we are interacting with other people, when you're interacting with me, just show some kindness. Actually, there is one more thing that I would like to ask of you, but it's totally voluntary, you don't have to do it. In case you didn't know, I have a new song coming out. It is my first ever debut single. It is called I Don't Like Me Either, and it is going to be where all music is streamed. Apple, Spotify, Deezer, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of the places, Oh my god, I can't believe it. I'm still very nervous. It is going to be out on the 10th of November. So that's this week. Here is a little teaser.
My head's brimming over. My friends say it's diagnosable. Chronic, don't believe him. In a saboteur serving popcorn for the show.
I'm not nervous, you're nervous. You're nervous. If you fancy supporting me on this little crazy terrifying journey, then you can take a look at the pre-save link, which is downstairs in the description box. It's totally free for you to pre-save on Spotify. If you don't have Spotify, or regardless, if you want to listen to the song out from the 10th of November, then you can. It'll be available and obviously free for you to stream. Alright, now I got out of the way. Are you ready to dive deep into some assholes? Let's go. Am I the asshole for telling my sister's boyfriend that nobody cares about his Tesla? I don't know why, this just feels like a very fitting post for Am I the asshole? Let's read. I'm a 25-year-old man. My sister is a 21-year-old woman and her boyfriend is 24 years old. I blew up on my sister's boyfriend after months of him constantly bragging about his Tesla. I met him a few months ago and it seemed like his entire personality was his Tesla. I'd say stuff like, I have to stop at the gas station, and he would say, what's that? I haven't heard about it in years. Or make stupid comments that would lead back to him owning a Tesla Model 3. I'm assuming that the Model 3 means something. I know nothing about cars. For those of you who might know less than me, however, I am aware that Teslas are electric vehicles, so if you're like, well, why do you not need to go to a petrol station? It's because they don't need to get petrol. Having said that, they still need to electric charge, which can be done at stations, but like electrical charging points. Every day's a school day, let's move on. I didn't mind it at first, but then it became to the point where he was always bringing it up every time in conversation, to where everybody seemed to get annoyed by it. I'm pretty successful in my career, says OP, selling one of my businesses for around low 8 figures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a big number. That's like 10 million, right? For low 10 million. How old are you? A year ago, at the age of 24, you sold your business for 10 million? For low 8 figures a year ago and started investing in low risk investments. I've been living a modest life, owning a small 3-bedroom house, starting another business in pest control, and I have a 2023 Civic Sport that I paid for in cash. One thing I can't stand is someone bragging or being flashy about money. Do you want to tell him? I mean, I get it. OP's trying to make a point out of this and being like, I'm not flashy, but then you have also said that you own a butt ton of money, which, you know, like, good for you. Good for you. Wow. I'm also making the assumption, by the way, that this is in like a dollars or a pound currency, and so that is a lot of money. If it's like, you know, 10 million yen, then maybe just because of currency conversions, that sounds a lot more within the context of somebody owning a small 3-bedroom house and having a 2023 Civic Sport. But actually, hang on, like, again, I don't know much about cars, but a 2023 car is going to be expensive, right? Because it's brand new, and if you paid for it all in cash, you have a lot of money. Okay, I'm understanding the context. Let's just see where this goes. Today, my brother and I were talking about buying a car, and he came in and insisted on buying a Tesla because it's the future of cars. He was bragging about the entire thing and trying to convince my brother that even with the high price, it's worth it. It didn't bother me until he said, don't end up like your brother buying a Honda Civic. They're trash. Whoop! I blew up at that point, telling him that he didn't know what he was talking about. He wanted to look rich and pretend to be rich because he has a Tesla, meanwhile he's living in his parents' house. I then proceeded to tell him that I had enough money to buy 10 of his Teslas in cash, and it's really not impressive, but rather makes him seem like a moron trying to brag about owning a Tesla. And if you want to pretend to be rich, you should back the talk instead of leasing a Tesla. This made him very upset, and he left my parents' house. immediately. Do you know, I have a feeling that these boys aren't comparing Teslas anymore. Both my sister and my parents are mad at me because he was trying to be helpful and they thought that I was being rude and bragging about my money. So, am I the asshole for telling my sister's boyfriend that nobody cares about his Tesla? Right, 1 second. You're not saying that nobody cares about your Tesla. You kind of berated him on his entire lifestyle and called him a fraud. I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. Okay, to understand the currency thing, I definitely think that this is going to be in a currency like dollars or pounds, because OP here has said that he could easily buy 10 Teslas, which costs a lot of money. I don't know much about cars, but I do know that. But it wasn't just that OP was saying, look, I could do this, so don't berate me. He also then went and berated Tesla owner as well, which isn't warranted, right? Like, what do they say? 2 rights don't make a wrong. I get why that would have been upsetting. I get why the family's like, oh, dude, that was just so uncalled for. Did you really need to do that? You know? I also feel the need to point out that I'm pretty sure that even if you are leasing a Tesla, that's going to be like a lot of money. Just because you didn't pay for a car like up front doesn't mean that the deposits that you need to put down and the monthly payments that you need to be putting in, I mean, I've never looked up the price of a Tesla, but I can imagine it's a lot. I just don't think that that's called for, you know? Having said that, I can totally see why you would also be annoyed, because it was clearly equipped to be like, oh, don't buy something like, his car, as in talking about you. That would rile me up the wrong way too, because if you don't own the car, why would you know anything about the car? I'm definitely leaning towards an everybody sucks here moment. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think this is the spiciest story, you know? It's like, it's not that big of a deal. With people like this, you either just need to, you know, in one ear and out the other, or recognize that maybe this Tesla is like a really lovely thing in their lives. Maybe they're choosing to live at their parents' house, maybe they're not, and the rest of their life isn't quite going so well, and the Tesla is something that they're really proud of, in which case, you know, like, there's no harm in just letting someone live their best life with their very, very, very expensive car. I'm also getting weird vibes off of this OP, and I don't know why. Is it because it's like, I don't like to brag. Brag, this is how much money I make, this is what I have. Could it just be as simple as that, or is there something else that I'm picking up on in tone? I don't know. Fun fact that I've just learned. I think the concept of electric cars are really cool, and absolutely, like, if you have one, or you want to talk about it, you want to share best practices about different experience, wonderful. You do you. However, they are not as innocent or as, you know, life-savingly wonderful as some might seem. The mining process to get things like the lithium that are used to make electric cars actually have a huge negative impact on the environment, and in some ways, it's not that it's worse than buying a fuel car, it's bad in a different way. And then if you think about people giving up these old cars to get an electric car when the old car is perfectly good, the footprint increases more so, because now you've got this new car that you didn't really need when you should have just sort of like outrun the old car for as long as it could to have the lowest negative effect on the environment. And also in terms of finance, electric cars are still a little bit risky. I was looking into an electric car not too long ago, certainly not a Tesla, because I was thinking, hey, you know, if we can make a more positive impact, maybe that would be a good idea. Unfortunately, the range is quite small for the kind of driving that we do for our jobs. But when I was speaking to a salesman about it, they were actually saying to me, and this wasn't a salesman that we then got a non-electric car from, so it wasn't like biased in any way. They actually sold electric cars too, but they were saying that electric cars can actually go into huge amounts of negative equity, because every time a new one comes out, even if the range of a newer model just goes an extra 50 miles more than the other one, then your car can really depreciate in value, because why would somebody want an electric car that can go 150 miles? That's a number I've just plucked out my butt. When there are all of these new cars now that have come out that can go 200 miles. So the value depreciates a lot more. I'm not saying that it's bad to own an electric car, but in many ways you should definitely be thinking about whether it's the right choice for you, your financial budget, the way that you drive, the way that you live, and nobody should be boasting about a car, right? Like, that's my thinking. You have a car, you like a car for you, great. You can afford the car, even better. That felt very non-spicy. What do you think, Peaches? Do you agree? I felt like that was a good one to ease in with. Not the arsehole, not even having to acknowledge how he acted previously and all the comments that he made. He literally insulted you and you fired back. I agree with this take too. The reason that I personally am going with the everybody sucks here is because you then didn't need to be like, and you live with your mum, and you got a fake lifestyle, and you don't own a car. Like, that went above and beyond. Okay, so no, I stick with my everybody sucks here. I can see why some people are saying not the arsehole. However, you just didn't need to do that, babe. You just didn't need to do that. You could have just been like, if you're happy, if you're living your best life for you, why does it matter? Why does it matter that other people don't know that? If other people are talking crap about it, just leave them be. It's fine. Purple broccoli syndrome, you know? If you've watched some of my older videos, that may make sense to you. If not, I won't go into explaining it now. I'm glad that you've had success in your life. Tesla guy is being a tremendous calling him fake rich was a move though. No class at all. I understand that he was pissing you off, but that's the kind of petty shit you should really seek to avoid. I would try to make amends and explain why the constant Tesla fanboying annoyed you so much. Also, OP, my guy, you can't say stuff like hate when people brag about their money and then make the entire post a humble brag about how successful you are. You're kind of a giant hypocrite. I didn't notice. Oh my god. Thank you for this tea. Alright, I think we should move on. Am I the asshole for refusing to eat at my mother-in-law's, even though I live here too? Wait, what? Are you the asshole for refusing to eat at your mother-in-law's, which is essentially your house? Am I the asshole for refusing to eat at my house? Is this what we're saying? So, my mother-in-law had a stroke last year. Sorry to hear that. My husband, who is 31-year-old, and I, 31-year-old woman, have been taking care of her since, doing grocery runs and taking her to the doctors. We sold our house a couple of months ago and we're waiting for our business to sell, so we moved in with mother-in-law for a few weeks whilst we transition. Wow. I'm a little bit confused about the timeline. So you sold your house a couple of months ago, you've moved into your mother-in-law's house a few weeks ago, you're waiting for your business to sell, and you're looking after your mother-in-law meanwhile. Since we got here, I've been doing a deep clean on the house because mother-in-law can't anymore. We're washing walls, painting, things like that. I got to the kitchen to clean out the cupboards and I found many expired pantry items. Crackers that expired 5 years ago. Whoa! Powdered cream of mushroom soup, 10 years expired. Oh lordy. As in, this is what is mostly in the pantry? Or these are a couple of items that are like right in the back that people forget about, because like I kind of get that second one. I don't think I've ever found something that was 10 years expired, but I did have one of those like tiny, you know, the cute jam that I make. I may not have taken from hotel stay because, you know, they're really cute. And you gotta get your money's worth from the hotel stays, right? But yeah, one of these cute little jam jars that was expired from like 2 years ago. Let's read on. Inside the fridge are jars that are open and moldy. Oh no. Bricks of cheese, a year expired. Oh, where she just cuts off the mold and eats it. Oh, you can eat cheese actually. I used to be somebody who religiously looked at the expiration dates on packets. Like if I saw the tiniest speck of mold here on a block of cheese like this, I'd be like, oh, throw it away. I realised it's actually an incredibly bad waste of food, and by learning and understanding that expiration dates are actually mostly there from a business point of view to cover their butts from not being like sacked, and many of them are actually quite redundant, we should just be using our own bodily features like our noses and our eyes and our sense of touch to see if things are actually okay or not. Milk is good way past the expiration date. Eggs, you can have eggs so long past the expiration date. I personally will stop eating an egg because like I get a glass of water, right? If you top it up like this, yes, I'm drinking out of a jug at the moment. Don't judge, don't judge. I'll fill this up with water and I'll stick my little egg inside, raw, with a shell on. And if it goes to the bottom and it sinks and you can like touch the top of the egg like that and it doesn't go ba-doink, 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 your egg is totally fine. And it's like that for like weeks after the expiration date. But if the egg starts to float to the top, but even like, just like here, so when you bounce it, it's like a little basketball and it's like doinky doinky, then your egg's got air on the inside, which means it's most likely to be off. At that point, you see, I won't eat eggs. And I know my in-laws take it even further and they're like, oh, give me those eggs, I'll still eat them. Like you can tell with your nose, I'm not that brave yet. But now if I see like a block of cheese and there's mold on this side, I'll just cut the moldy bit off and you can still eat the rest of the cheese, right? Like people eat blue moldy cheese on purpose at Christmas, which I'm not gonna lie, I still don't get, but I'm not gonna judge. What was the point I was trying to make? Sorry, I'm having a bad ADHD day. I feel like this video is all over the place. The point that I'm trying to make is don't worry about just the expiration dates. However, moldy jars and blocks of cheese that are 10 years old and still being eaten, that definitely sounds like it's a bit of a problem. I think it's disgusting, says OP. I grew up with a hoarder and our food was always bug infested. I have issues with food. I eat fresh fruit only and I'm happy to go to the store every 3 days or so to maintain that. Sounds like, to be fair, OP has a problem, but the other way. Having said that, if OP's going regularly and buying small amounts so there's no food waste, then it's not a problem. But there's a balance to be struck, right? My mother-in-law doesn't understand or care that I have these issues. She thinks that all of her food is fine and that expiry dates or mold doesn't matter, which isn't fully true, but as we've just explained, you know, like they can be more lenient than they say on the packet. But not 10 years expired out of date, no. Whether she cooks or I cook, she expects me to use those ingredients and I just can't. So it's not even just when she's cooking, it's when you're cooking too. I can see why this is a problem. If these are your personal boundaries, and especially because you have a trauma about it, like you should be allowed to buy your own food from where you're living, right? I tried to clean it out and throw things away, but she just screams at me. It's been almost a week now that we haven't spoken. We just avoid each other. No, this is sad. I know it would help her out more if I cooked, but I don't know how to cook a rotten tomato. So I just order myself food, which of course isn't going to be making you feel great because you can't just be ordering all food, and certainly if you're only used to eating fresh food, and we're not even going to think about what that does to someone's budget. Am I the asshole? What are the budgets that we have? You are the asshole, not the asshole. No assholes here, everybody sucks here. No, my love, I don't think you're the asshole. I think that's specifically the case because mother-in-law is trying to enforce those boundaries on just you, even when it doesn't concern her. Like if you weren't living together and you were like, I have a problem with this, and you've advised her, like she's an adult, and if she's going to continue doing things that you might deem dangerous but she's been doing for her entire life and she's been fine with, she's insisting on not changing, You can't really tell another adult what to do, but that's the whole point, right? She can't tell you what to do either. The fact that you are now living there, that's such a problem. The other thing that I have a problem with here is if somebody is so unwell that they're needing live-in help, it may be that they are struggling to let go of their independence, but sometimes when people get older, they're maybe more forgetful, or they pay less attention to things that they really should be paying attention to, and this help should be so welcome to make sure that we are continuing to be safe. I remember my aunt, though to be fair, she was then later on diagnosed with dementia, which is very different to a stroke, but she was actually eating really dangerous food. Like, she was eating poultry that wasn't quite cooked right, and we were like, no, you definitely need some help here. I think you're, one, trying to help out your mother-in-law and the rest of your family, but two, just trying to live your own adult life where you eat the food that you want to eat, because you're a 31-year-old woman. You're allowed to decide what goes in your mouth and in your fridge. It does get very tricky though if it's mother-in-law's house that you are staying at. My advice would be to get 2 separate fridges and to just not talk about matters of food if mother-in-law is really refusing to budge. Also, what does husband in this situation have to say? Because if it really is as unreasonable as you're suggesting, surely husband would agree with you and also not be wanting to eat the food? Like, does your mother-in-law really want to eat moldy food? I mean, storing it in the fridge is one thing, right? But actually physically cooking and then consuming it, they're still bad things, but the second one is a lot bigger. So you'd think that if this was really, really bad, your husband would be on board and be like, hey, no, mum, we need to change your ways. And it can be done in a really polite way. You know, like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna take over cooking now. You deserve to chill and live your best life. Imagine you are in a 5-star restaurant. You don't think about what's in the fridge. You don't think about the food until it's served to you on a gorgeous plate. You just get to not the arsehole. If your mother-in-law is sick enough from a stroke that you need to live with her, then just wait until she's in bed or napping and then quietly throw everything out. I think OP's saying that they did try and do that, but there's just been a lot of screaming and now a lot of negative after effect where she's like, I'm not talking to you. It shouldn't take more than a couple of loads of the garbage can, then just ignore her and make your meals. When my mum got dementia, you couldn't reason with her. She hated any change. I just had to be the bad guy, and I dealt with her 40 plus years of hoarding. And if your husband doesn't support you, let him eat some moldy cheese on rotten crackers. Oh. Do you know, even just the idea of that in theory is something. My grandma has dementia, and one of the first symptoms was an extreme disregard for food safety. It seems to be a really common thing on this forum, and honestly I don't know enough about strokes to know if it's something similar, but it might be something that you want to look into. If you, OP, or anyone else who's going through something similar is like, I recognise this trait. It's always worth getting your loved one checked out. Not the asshole. No sanitary person would feel comfortable eating or cooking with expired food that is moulding. I wouldn't even feel comfortable keeping my own separate food in the same fridge. It is true, even in the cold environment of a fridge, things do pass, they just pass slower. I think some people think that if you put things in a freezer, that's it, they're frozen in time, never to be changed. That's not quite true. Things do happen. Things continue to get spoiled, but just much, much slower than if they were in a fridge or out in the open. The only thing that I'd say about this is if some food is moulding, you can cook with the rest of the food if you cut the moulding thing off. There's some things that you can't do that with, like soft cheeses, but hard cheeses, for example, you totally can. Just Mama Shaaba putting a little hat on to be like, let's think about the environment too, and let's try not to waste food if we can avoid it. Just today I cooked with a garlic clove, and I saw it and I was like, you do not look like a good garlic clove, so I put it in the bin. But I still used the rest of the garlic bulb, not the whole thing. Ooh, Jamie wouldn't kiss me for a month, and the rest of it's just, hanging out, chilling, sleeping in my fridge. Shall we move on to the next one? Am I the asshole for wanting to use my girlfriend's phone? Why did I do this? Phones for you. Does anyone else remember that? Yeah! We've been dating for about 3 months and recently started to stay at each other's places. Ooh. I love that phase of a relationship where everything's new and you're like, oh my god, I need to fart, but I can't fart in front of you. Ooh! About a week ago, when we were in bed and about to go to sleep, she asked if she could use my phone to finish a show that she was watching because her phone's battery was low and she forgot her charger. I handed her my phone, I told her the code, then I turned around and I went to sleep. Okay, so I'm getting a vibe from the title that maybe there's a double standard thing going on. Let's see. Since that night, she regularly uses my phone to watch her shows and movies because my phone is better than hers. Can I ask a question? Is your phone connected to the Wi-Fi? Because if so, fine. But if this is all being done on 4G and you don't have something like Voxy, which gives you unlimited social media, this is not an ad or a spawn. Genuinely just asking, your girlfriend is eating up a lot of the data. That's not okay. Last night we were out to dinner and I left my phone in the car. Since everything has been happening all around the world, I've been keeping up with the news, and whilst we were waiting for a table and I didn't have my phone, I asked her if I could use hers to check on the latest news. photos. She asked me where mine was, and I answered that I left it in the car. She suggested that I wait until after dinner or go and get it, then nothing but silence. I was confused, and things got very awkward to the point that the other people in the waiting area noticed. Oh, so this isn't just like a quiet conversation. This is like a noticeably tense exchange. The awkwardness lasted through dinner because I was still confused, and she was angry. Why is she so angry that you asked? It doesn't even sound like you like pushed back too much, right? You're like, could I? She's like, no. Go get your own, or wait. And then like nothing. After dinner, as I was driving home, she texted to tell me that I was an arse to put her in that position in public, and that I should have accepted her hints before she had to say no. Maybe there's a chance here that OP was reading this wrong, therefore because there were hints that were super clear but OP didn't pick up on it. OP hasn't written it in. However, why? But that doesn't stop the fact that girlfriend's being super shady over the use of her phone. Like, you wanted to check the news. You didn't want to go through her text messages. Like, what's going on? I didn't see the big deal, but she's royally pissed at me and said that I have a lot of making up to do. Can I also ask, did you drive there together? Because you've recently started to stay at each other's places. Were you in the same car and she's like texting you? Or are you in separate cars and she's like, I'm pissed? Either way, girlfriend's hiding something, babe. Girlfriend is hiding something on that phone. There is something there that she doesn't want you to see. It's as simple as that. I can't think of any other way around this. Was I wrong to ask to use her phone after she's been using mine whenever she wanted? No, my love. You are not the arsehole. You're in a relationship. You have a need. You're very welcome to express that need and to ask your partner for support. Your partner is also very well within her rights to be like, no, thank you. I'd rather not provide this. And if there is a reason for that she can explain, great. Even if there's not a reason, she's entitled to do it. But freedom of action does not mean freedom of consequence. I, of course, will be thinking that you're hiding something if you're getting particularly snappy, like so grumpy that throughout the whole of dinner and afterwards and still beyond, you're like, you got a lot of making up to do. What is on your phone that you don't want OP to see? My head automatically goes to cheating. Obviously, it could be a whole bunch of different things. It may be something that would be damaging to the relationship. It may be something that isn't damaging to the relationship, but that your girlfriend is just not comfortable sharing. Maybe there's photos, like cute photos or photos of a project or song tracks that she's too scared to share and doesn't want you to come across. Maybe she has an OnlyFans that she's yet to tell you about, something like that. Or maybe she's afraid because someone else is messaging, and when you're on the phone, there's every chance that a notification is going to pop up and show you something that you don't want to see because she shouldn't be doing it. That feels like the most obvious scenario. And honestly, if I was in OP's position here, I don't think, I absolutely respect someone's privacy. Totally. But with this reaction, I would feel the need to explain where my concern and confusion would be coming from. I wouldn't be accusing them of cheating, and I wouldn't be saying it's really wrong of you to not let me borrow your phone. Like, I get it. I, for example, have more boundaries over my electronic devices than most because of my past, and it's totally reasonable to think that maybe OP's girlfriend here is also like, no, because, she's had a negative experience in the past and feels like maybe you would be doing something untoward. And, even in that type of situation, if OP was to just turn around and be like, hey, do you mind if I just have a chat with you about something? You've been using my phone every night, and I really don't mind. It's totally fine. I've trusted you completely. I asked you in the restaurant, clearly there's been some tension, and I was just wondering why, because how I'm feeling is that there's something that you're trying to hide on your phone, and it's making me feel like there's something that I shouldn't be trusting you for. Like, do you reckon we can talk that through? If that isn't the case, OP's girlfriend would have no hesitation to be like, oh my gosh, no, I can see why you're thinking that. However, I just have this kind of history. Or even if she doesn't explain, she could just say, there are other reasons why I really don't feel comfortable sharing my phone with anyone. I'm sorry if it came across as some kind of way. I'm not hiding something like that from you, and you just need to trust me on that. But if she goes down the whole I do not need to dignify that question with an answer, or holds up a similar kind of red flag, then we know what's what. Not the asshole, but a huge red flag. She has stuff on her phone that she doesn't want you to see. Another bloke on the go. Probably. This form is harsh. Or she thinks that OP wants to check her stuff and control her, which is also a red flag. She doesn't trust OP, and she has double standards. I'm a little bit confused as to what this comment's saying. Is this comment saying that it's a red flag that she thinks that OP wants to check her stuff and control her? Because that isn't a red flag. But if you were wanting to check her stuff or control her, this comment is saying that that's a red flag. I totally get where this is coming from. Maybe it is that she doesn't trust OP, in which case that's not OP's fault here, and just some more clear and honest communication would do wonders in making this relationship even stronger coming out of this experience. OP should really flip the script and refuse to share his phone the next time that she asks. It would make for an interesting update, I'm sure. I'm sure it would. But I also just want to say that this passive aggressiveness is not the best way to go about it. I think a conversation first would be great. If she shuts that conversation down and then asks for your phone to watch a show again, then that's when I'd be bringing it up and being like, sorry? But until that point, just talk. Just talk. Do you know how many world problems would be sorted if people just spoke? successfully and efficiently. 100% afraid of message notifications from another dude, not the asshole. Red flag. 100. Okay, so we've had 1 everybody sucks here and 2 not the assholes. Let's do 1 more to round us off for today. Am I the asshole for making my oldest pay back a $3,000 dress that she ruined? Oh lord. My oldest, Bethany, who is 16, has a step-sibling, Maria, who is 14, almost 15. Bethany and I are white, whilst my husband and Maria are of Mexican descent. The 2 sisters have been in each other's lives since they were 6 and 7, and overall the relationship is good, until recently. Maria's quinceanera is coming up, and my husband and his ex-wife took her to get a dress. That is so cute. I've always wanted to go to quinceanera. For those of you who might not know, a quinceanera is like a rite of passage for a girl who goes into womanhood at the age of 15, and it's very common in Mexican or other sort of like Latin American cultures. Actually, I don't think it's just Latin American. I think it's also in like other parts of the states in Mexico and also in the Caribbean, I want to say. But lovely peaches, if you happen to be part of this culture, please go down and correct me. All other peaches, please do not take my word as verbatim on that, because I do not have that verified. The dress and the alterations came to around $3,000. Okay, that includes the cost of alterations, but still, wow, holy moly, mother of lord, that is a really expensive dress. My daughter has been very jealous of the whole party, and I've informed her that it's part of the culture, just like when she had a huge Sweet 16 party with her friends. I spent more time with her to try and make her feel better about it, and I got her own, much cheaper dress for the party. Is this mum? It might be dad if they're in a same-gender relationship. Regardless, it's very sweet that OP parent here is like, okay, Bethany, let's spend some time, let's find you a cute little dress, and also trying to explain that it's a cultural thing, you know, like it's not something to be jealous about, because we also have something else that's sort of like comparable in milestones, and that's what you had. I wonder if the Sweet 16 party budget was anything in line with the quinceanera budget, because I still can't get over $3,000 for a dress. Let's read on. The party's supposed to be in 2 weeks, but my daughter had an argument with Maria about the TV. She scribbled Sharpie all over the expensive dress and ripped the back. No. Oh my god. The short story, everyone was pissed. Oh my god, RIP $3,000. Has the alteration's been done? Maybe yes, if the party's in 2 weeks. Oh my god. Kids have really funny ways of taking out their anger and emotions, but that's a lot of money. Ooh. I gave money to my husband and his ex to try and get a new dress ASAP. I informed my daughter that she'll need to get a job and pay back the full price of the dress as punishment. So daughter is 16. We got into a huge argument over it, and the whole situation isn't fair, that I'm choosing Maria and being a huge jerk. Am I being a huge jerk? So am I being the asshole for making my oldest pay back a $3,000 dress that she ruined? Wow. Oh, I don't know how I feel about this one. Okay, I definitely think that Bethany was in the wrong. Bethany was definitely not okay. Oh, scribbling Sharpie and ripping the back of a $3,000 dress. Did she know that the dress was $3,000? Maybe she didn't know. She is 16 though, you know, like she should be aware of her actions, and doing something to a dress that's going to be used for a party in 2 weeks, it's clearly such a big cultural moment, is not okay. My first thought was, hang on a second, is this in any way culturally or racially motivated? I see like the unconsciousness aspect of that, where that could play in, but I don't feel like that is a conscious decision from Bethany. I'm not even sure if it's coming from unconscious bias. I think Bethany's just feeling some kind of way that she's not the center of attention, and she's like, well, I didn't get something for my 15th, not recognizing that she got something for her 16th, and therefore she decided to ruin a $3,000 dress. And I'm assuming that with scribbled Sharpie all over it, there is no way you are salvaging that. So, okay, new dress will be gone. It's fine. OP, this family clearly have some budget. OP's given the money. Maria's gonna get a dress. Maria's gonna look amazing. In the grand scheme of things, Maria's gonna have a great party. Her outfit for one day will not dictate the rest of her life. The fact that it wasn't the dress that she initially chosen, everyone's gonna get over it. It's gonna be okay. But now the question is it fair to ask Bethany to get a job to repay that money? Do you know, if it was just like a small amount, I'd be like, yeah, Bethany should repay it. I think it's quite unusual though to be like, you need to get a job. Typically you'd be like, you need to do work that is the equivalent, like I will pay you that amount. But also the amount of damage that you normally see is like, you broke a £30 vase, you need to wash up for the next 2 weeks to pay it back. It's not $3,000 for a dress. Would I do that? Would I do this as a parent? I guess it depends on so many things. It depends on the financial position of the family. I think that this is maybe like the harsher side of parenting. I'm trying to think about it. I can't see anything fundamentally wrong, albeit very strict, from what OP is offering here. OP's saying, hey, you need to understand the value of money. $3,000 is a lot of money. You messed it up. You need to pay it back. How long would it take someone on a 16-year-old salary to pay that money back? Assuming as well that they're not working full time. Yeah, that's the only thing. providing that Bethany has the time and the resources to be able to do a job like that without it impeding on the rest of her life in terms of a social life, and especially in terms of things like schooling in a really impactful way, then yeah, I think it maybe OP is not the arsehole and is just parenting, but maybe just in a really strict way, but I also get it. I think that's my verdict. Not the arsehole. Yeah. Yeah. I would also consider whether Bethany can come to the quinceanera in a just fully guest capacity as she would have done before. Maybe she needs to apologise. Maybe she needs to do some things for the quinceanera that can help reduce that amount. You know, like maybe there's decorations that she can make instead that would take that $3,000 down to like less. I don't know. I feel like a lot more context is needed, but overall, I don't see, in theory, what is wrong with OP trying to teach their daughter that actions have consequences. Ooh, not the arsehole. Quinceanera dresses aren't cheap and your daughter is old enough to know better. OP says they're so expensive. I think the dress costs around $1,500 and then they get you with the fitting and understuff. Oh, hang on a second. So, I mean, $1,500 is still a lot of money for a dress, but sounds a lot more reasonable. $1,500, however, for fitting and other stuff, that's not so reasonable. Unless what you're saying is $1,500 on the other stuff also includes things like accessories, bags, shoes, jewellery, in which case it's still a lot of money, but then surely that stuff is still fine and your daughter shouldn't be paying back $3,000 but $1,500. OP also says it's giant and puffy. Maybe there's just $1,500 worth of layers that needed altering, but like no, that sounds like something's a little bit off in the math section there. Bethany needs to understand that she could be charged with a crime in different circumstances. You trust something worth that much, you can get in serious criminal trouble, and she's way too old for this behaviour and definitely needs a job. Yeah, no, I didn't think about it in this scenario, but it's actually such a wonderful example of how we can benefit in situations by taking the principle of the matter and applying it to a different context. And this commenter is so right. Imagine if Bethany had like bopped up someone's car. Imagine if Bethany had popped up that Tesla who caused $3,000 worth of damage. Like, you need to pay back. You're 16. You're independent. You know better. Not the arsehole. Bethany deliberately ruined a dress. I think the forum is pretty clear here. Not the arsehole. Alright, my loves. What do you think? Do you agree? Let me know your thoughts downstairs in the comment section if you haven't already and you'd like to. Just reminding you that my little pre-save link is downstairs in the description box as well for you to take a look at. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. We do Am I the Arseholes like this every Monday, and I will catch you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.